Good morning, Reclaimers, and welcome to Mandalore 1. I know you're dying to dive into reclaiming Mandalore, but character creation can be a little bit daunting, so I'm here to show you a few tricks to simplify that process. Step 1, who are you? Let's skip to page 26 of the main rulebook and roll up some character attributes. I'm going to go with 5. You can pick 3 to 6. I'm just going to go with 5 today. That is a 15. That is a 77. That is a 47. That is a 78. That is a 94. In case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm rolling 2 10-sided die, one for the tens place, one for the ones place. So let's figure out what my personality is. 15, clever. 77, joyful. 47, fearful. 78, kind. 94, patient. So I'm clever, joyful, kind, and patient, but I have this underlying streak of fear. Now let's go to the motivation table, page 29. Roll a d20. Now the motivations are not your character's guiding star of how to roleplay. They're more one deep current in a very big river. Fall back on your motivation if nothing else in the scene sparks an interest for you or tells you what you should be doing. Or just when nothing else is calling to you, then you can rely on your motivation for some character choices. Loyalty. My motivation is loyalty. The work I do, the risks I take, they're all for the person next to me, for Mandalore, for the Creed. I am liking this guy so far. So background. Background is about where you're from, of course. So let's flip over to page 23 of the core rulebook and pick a background. I think this guy is going to be he's going to be an orphan of the purge taken in by non-Mandalorians. So somehow he was either off-world or he escaped the world the night of the purge. He was young. He was taken in and raised by non-Mandalorians. So maybe they don't even know he's Mandalorian. Maybe it's been buried. Maybe it's acknowledged, just not talked about. But he's been raised by non-Mandalorians. So he's going to start with +1 social point. I'm just going to mark that down in the attributes here. And at some point in his life, he heard about Bo-Katan rallying everyone of Mandalore and recruiting new Mandalorians, and he said, I choose to be a part of that. So, orphan non-Mandalorian. Now, what are you? Let's fill out the attributes. We've got 11 attributes to split between power, agility, endurance, mental, social, and attunement. Now, attunement is usually a dump stat. It represents your connection, your intuition, and your connection to the Force in this world. Mandalorians don't really use the Force or acknowledge it. They certainly don't train in it. Regardless, the Force is a power in this world that is highly influential, whether you acknowledge it or not. And your connection to that power can greatly influence your life, even if you've never trained in its use. For this character, I am just not going to use attunement. So I'm going to use power, agility, endurance, mental, and social. Since I'm already getting that +1 in social, it would be kind of a shame to do nothing with it. So I'm going to put 2 of my points into social, which will get me to a 3 in social, which was enough to give me a fatigue point in social, which will allow me to activate certain skills later. I want my character to also be smart. I am going to go with 3 in mental, which again will give me that fatigue point. And then I want to go 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There we go. I'm going to go endurance 2, agility 2, and power 2. And all of those will put me right on the threshold of being able to purchase a 3rd point and get a significant benefit later as your character progresses. And that starting agility is also probably going to be your starting defense, unless you argue your structure inflictor into allowing you to start with more armor, which is possible. Yeah, it is possible. It's up to the structure inflictor to balance things. So if you strongly feel that your character is coming from a place where they would be bringing some of their own armor with them, then it's allowable. Just plan on having to face a couple extra bad guys to balance it out. Now, how do you fight? You need to figure out, well, what weapon do you envision your character holding? Are they a back alley knife fighter? Are they a saber duelist? Do they just pack the standard medium blaster? Are they a sniper? Do they like flamethrowers, grenades, rocket launchers? What do you fight with? That is going to inform the beginnings of your skill training. So for skill trainings, it's intimidating because there are about 170 skills. And in order to pick skills without going through 170 skills, some simple guidelines are pick 2 passives that are directly connected to combat for you. Pick 1 or 2 tactics that are related to an attribute you have a fatigue point in. Pick 1 or 2 tricks that are alternate action point costs they're more efficient in the action points, but they're very situational. And then pick 1 passive that will bolster something you're already good at or fill in for one of your weaknesses. Like for agility challenges. Like my character, they've only got 2 power, and so things like sprinting and climbing would be a little more difficult for them. So I could take a training that would improve power challenges. So I don't have to put points into my attribute. I can buy a skill that'll make me better at those challenges. But that's just an example, and it might be a really bad one. It might not be the way we want to go at all. So, skipping to skill trainings, you're going to want to start with 2 passives that are directly in line with the way you want to fight. How do I want this guy to fight? Social and smart. Social and smart. Social and smart. You know what? Han Solo was social and smart. Let's go with heavy pistols. So I'm going to take heavy pistol specialization. And I'm going to take pistol practice. And that'll give me +2 to my attack rolls with heavy pistols. Well, +1 to my attack rolls with all pistols, +2 to my attack rolls with heavy pistols. And remember, any attack bonuses that you're going to get to your D20 attack rolls are going to come from skills. You have no innate attack bonuses. So now that I've got my 2 basic pistol passives, I am going to look for a mental skill and a social skill. Okay, mental fatigue. Let's go with quick calculation. Spend 1 mental fatigue, give yourself an action point. That way, if I ever come up short in an engagement, I'll have that quick little reserve of power to call on. Maybe that could be the move action that spells the difference between me getting back into cover and standing out in the open during my opponent's turn. Now, social fatigue. I'm just going to go with bark and order real quick. Quick and simple, almost the same thing. Spend a social fatigue to give an ally an action point. This way I can help my friends if they ever come up short. Let's move on to tricks on page 19. These are the alternate action point costs. Let's go with crack shot. That's a pretty classic heavy pistol type skill. You spend 1 action point to get +2 to your next range attack. It means you can't make as many attacks in a turn usually, but the one you're making is much more likely to hit. So, crack shot. Now let's switch back to passives and see what I want to do. You know what? I'm going to go with fleet. I'm going to increase my base speed to 40. Give me some movement advantages there. So that is skills taken care of. Final question, what do you carry? We can start up here with signets and signet beast, which is none and none. You do not have a signet. You do not know your signet beast. That is something that will come out through role play. Also, your creed path and your creed path die are going to be attendant and nothing. As you advance, you will increase through your creed ranks, and that will add creed path die that you can roll to make up for failed rolls later. And also remember that those dice don't get replaced by the subsequent one, they add to it. So you'll get the D6, you get the D4, and then you'll get the D4 and the D6, and the D4, the D6, and the D8, so on and so forth. But equipment trainings, my guy is going to need a heavy pistol, so we will go with blaster training. My guy is gonna need let's go over to the equipment trainings and see what kind of things might be useful. You know what? I kind of want to be able to throw grenades on this guy, so I'm gonna go with explosives training too. And since I want to be able to use helmet electronics, eventually I'm gonna want to get like scanners and sensors and remote controls, but right now I want communications so that I can communicate with my people over longer distances and without having to make any external sound. So we're going to start with blasters, explosives, and communications equipment. Now, communications equipment, things that can be adapted to another piece of equipment. So if your helmet comms go in your helmet, that taking the comms equipment training means you are versed in communications equipment. You could use a hand radio, you could use a ham radio, you can operate the remote, you can operate the communications equipment on a starship. Like you are versed in comms. These are supposed to be fairly broad trainings, the equipment trainings, a lot of them. So now you just write down your current loadout. I'm going to write down heavy blaster pistol. I'm going to write down grenades. And I'm going to write down comms. Oh, now I need a character name. I am going to go with Abrazu Telek. Meet Abrazu Telek. And at this point during your character creation process, you can reference our upcoming book, Faces of Mandalore, to pick a species and see how that might affect your character sheet and role-playing choices in the future. Anyway, welcome Abrazu, welcome all of you, welcome to Mandalore 1 again, and thanks for playing.